I had a really special pleasure just before the event started, and I met a man who cares very deeply about this school and who in the past has been incredibly supportive, and he asked if he could say a few words today, and I said absolutely. His name is Coleman Norris. He's a graduate of the class of 1949, and if his name sounds a little familiar to you, anybody here who lives in Norris Hall, he is the benefactor of that particular hall. Mr. Coleman, would you join us?
Well, as he said, my name is Coleman Norris. I come from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. That's about 1,000 miles away. Although at this point I live in Switzerland. I flew in from Zurich last night. I am one of 7 Norrises that have attended the upper school. And actually, one of them, my dad, attended the lower school. He was a boarder at Mrs. Davis's house, which was at that time around 1910, somewhere over near Hathaway or Goodwin. And he went through the lower school from about 3rd grade on as a boarder. So that we do have a connection. Now, I have always been very supportive of Milton. It was one of the best educational experience I ever had. And I was very happy here. And the reason that Milton is such an outstanding institution is because it is part of the community. It is not an enclave surrounded by It's not an enclave surrounded by a wall that is a depository for the elite that takes no part of the community like many of the Grottelseck schools that we play sports against are. It is part of the community. The beauty of the upper school from a boarder standpoint is that it's half day, half boarding. And so we are welcomed as boarders into the community. Now, the lower school is part of this community. It is part of the school. The trustees apparently are having a crisis of allocation of funds. Well, what's new about that? The problems have been solved in the past, and I fully expect the problems to be solved today. Right now, there is sort of a crisis of security for the lower school. Well, I think that crisis may be alleviated somewhat if the lower school were able to develop an endowment of its own. This is not to take away from the upper school, it is to add to the upper school. So I am here to suggest to the trustees, and we'll need some legal advice, and we've had some very erudite lawyers talking today. I'm sure they'll help. I am here to suggest that we of the Milton community, and I consider myself of the Milton community, we of the Milton community try and work out the best way to give the lower school security. And if an endowment turns out to be that way, I will pledge $1 million.
Thank you, everybody. I think we can say I am finally speechless. we want everybody to remember, go to the website, miltonk-12.org. Thank you all so much for being here and for spending your time and to show your support for our school and our community. Mr. Coleman, thank you again. What a wonderful gift, and brings us a lot of energy.